Yo, what is up, guys? XRP is at $1.09 right now in CoinMarketCap. Our first tweet comes from Bit for Coins. Rumors: Elon Musk will integrate XRP on X Money. Our next tweet comes from Smoke DQG. X Money's functioning well so far. Looking forward to what's next for the platform. Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Squire. Something's off. Elon Musk got asked about XRP, and his whole vibe shifted instantly. Bitcoin and Doge get easy shoutouts, but XRP brings hesitation. That kind of silence from the richest man in the room isn't random. Silence is a signal. Let's watch this video.
Given how punitive the SEC has been towards crypto under this administration, do you envision the XRP ledger being incorporated into the financial institutions in the future?
Well, I certainly cannot speak to any specific crypto, but I do think that the sort of cryptocurrency is an interesting and probably valuable bulwark against a centralized control. This is definitely not an endorsement or lack of endorsement for XRP, but I do think crypto, by its very nature, it helps with individual freedom.
Smash the subscribe button and hit that like button if you believe XRP will reach $3 again this year. Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Squire. I'm tired of the crypto hell. Senator Mark Warner says he's tired of the crypto hell in the United States and wants America to lead in digital assets. The Clarity Act could be the way out. Our next tweet comes from Bitcoin Magazine. New Senator Mark Warner on Clarity Act. I want this done. I'm tired of being in crypto hell. I want America to lead in digital assets. Let's watch this video.
Because I do want you to hear this. As one bipartisan group still trying to get a Clarity Act done. We touched on this briefly. You would not want a Clarity Act that increased the ability of illicit finance to take place suddenly with the blessings of law, would you?
Well, thank you, Senator. I mean, it's vital that the Clarity Act provide tools.
Could you speak a little closer?
It's vital that the Clarity Act provide rules and tools for the Treasury Department and the administration to be able to counter illicit finance.
So you would be concerned if the Trump Department of Justice, with technical assistance, said that the standard proposed by industry and some of my Republican colleagues would actually make it easier for illicit finance to take place. This has just happened in the last couple of days. That would concern you, wouldn't it?
It would be concerning, yes, Senator.
Good. I tend to work with you and the Secretary. I want this done, and I am tired of being in crypto hell. But we got to do it in a way that doesn't make this circumstance worse. I want America to lead in digital assets. But if we get it wrong, the downside ramifications could be huge as well.
Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Squire. Ripple Technology. Ripple isn't trying to replace banks. It's giving them the infrastructure to move value globally in seconds with low fees and real-world utility powered by XRP. The biggest revolutions are built quietly. Our next tweet comes from Zay of Crypto. The path for the Clarity Act just got a lot clearer. Kristen Smith says the holdup isn't crypto. It's ethics language needed to win Democratic support. Trump is reportedly negotiating a compromise with Democrats. If a deal is reached, the Senate could vote as early as next week. Let's watch this video.
Thank you so much for being here. What are your thoughts on clarity and the ethics conversation underway right now?
Well, good morning, Maria, and thank you for having me back. I agree with Faryar. The ethics conversation is absolutely essential. This is one of those tricky issues where it's really not the crypto industry's place to decide what that deal is. But I've met with members of Congress, senators on both sides of the aisle, and especially for Democrats, they need to have some sort of ethics language in this bill in order to be able to vote for it. So I give credit to President Trump for entertaining this concept. I know he had a meeting at the White House yesterday to discuss what this provision could look like. And I think, this is a president who knows the art of the deal. If we can get the president and the Democrats to agree on this issue, I think that will break the logjam, and we will be able to get the votes needed to get this bill through the Senate sometime next week or the following.
Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Squire. Big banks. Bank of America has appointed new leaders to accelerate its digital asset strategy, focusing on stablecoins, tokenized deposits, custody, and the settlement of XRP and other digital assets. The infrastructure is changing. XRP is ready. Our next tweet comes from Bank XRP. Justin, A16Z, head of government affairs, Colin McCune, says the Clarity Act is not dead, expects a Senate vote in the near term. Says a bipartisan group of senators and House members remain engaged with the White House aligned on priorities. Let's watch this video.
Passed and push this through. I'm really curious your thoughts on this. Is the bill sunk, or do you think President Trump is going to be able to actually finally get this through Congress? What's your updated outlook on the Clarity Act here?
Well, first and foremost, the bill is not sunk. I do believe that the Senate is going to move forward on a vote in the near future, which I think is going to be a big moment. But if I had a nickel for every time that I read a headline or someone else in the industry was telling me that the bill is dead, I think I would be a very, maybe not a rich man, but I'd be wealthier than I am today. It has died and been, brought back to life, it seems like a million times. So I will very firmly say the bill is not dead. Does that guarantee that the bill is 100% going to happen? There are no guarantees in Washington, period. So I do think, though, that we're in very strong position. I think there is a really, really strong group of bipartisan members in the Senate and in the House. And certainly we know very well where the president stands on these issues. And I think everyone is still at the table and everyone's working to try and wrap this up, hopefully before the August recess in the next couple of weeks.
Our next tweet comes from Smoke DQG. Fireblocks, institutional crypto adoption is happening with or without the Clarity Act. Most people are watching polymarket odds to decide whether the Clarity Act will pass or fail. Institutional investors are not reacting the same way. According to Fireblocks, institutional capital entering crypto is not slowing down, despite the massive swings in polymarket data. They also confirmed that the current regulatory environment is not driving institutional liquidity or innovation offshore. Large traditional finance firms are continuing to build digital asset infrastructure in the United States. Institutional capital is increasingly comfortable building on blockchain rails in the US before the Clarity Act reaches final passage. Listen closely. Let's watch this video.
Just yet. And joining us to discuss the developments further in the global legislation is Dea Markova, Policy Director at Fireblocks. Dea, thank you so much for joining us. I guess we could start with that. With the U.S. Clarity Act stalling, what's the first real market behavior change that you're seeing when it comes to institutions on the ground?
Thanks for having me. I don't know if we see a massive change of behavior, right? So I think when we're having the same conversations about Genius, it was about the US sending a signal to the world that the economy is ready for digital asset adoption and putting the dollar on chain. With Clarity, it's different. On one hand, we strongly believe that it will put the industry on a much more substantial legislative footing and clarity, regulatory clarity. On the other, a lot of these decisions have already been made at an agency's level. So we don't see a slowdown in terms of our client interest, institutional client interest in digital assets adoption.
Do you think that this regulatory delay is pushing liquidity and innovation and maybe even infrastructure decisions offshore, or do you think that's a little bit of an overstatement?
I think it's a little bit of an overstatement. I think the commercial activity is never only determined by a regulatory decision making, right? So the US is highly energetic, very well financed market. So we don't see institutional activity moving offshore just because there's ups and downs on whether Clarity was at 60% or 50% or 40%.
What are you seeing?
Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Square. When will BlackRock announce the ETF everyone in the XRP community is waiting for? No one knows the date, but if that day comes, it could be one of the biggest moments in XRP's history. Patience. Our next tweet comes from Zave Crypto. Bitcoin Treasury CEO Elliot Johnson says XRP is the answer to moving money at the speed of light. Even the Bitcoin side is starting to recognize what's coming. Let's watch this video.
Sending email at the speed of light, and yet it's going to cost me like $40 and take 3 days, and maybe the money I send from Toronto can get to South Africa, but maybe not. And then I have to go chase after it. Like, it's ridiculous. And so XRP is just, you just tell that story and then you say, oh, but there's also this protocol and it's called XRP and it's a cryptocurrency and it's built for seamless instant payments. And as every country kind of comes onto the network and has a liquid local market, you can send on one, receive on the other. And then people are like, okay, I kind of get why you want that. It's like Western Union, except that doesn't cost me an arm and a leg. And it's like, that's right. And so it's all part of the same story. And what I love about it is it's another one to talk about, right? It's another example to talk about that, again, wakes people up to the fact that this is what's happening. This is what this asset class is all about. And again, like, if you live in your small world in your own country, and I don't mean that to offend anybody, but if you only live inside your own country and you only operate in your own economy and you're lucky enough to be in a developed Western nation, you can go ahead, by all means, go ahead and ignore these advances in digital assets because you probably don't need them yet for yourself. But there are a lot of people in the world for whom this stuff is actually a meaningful improvement to their.
Real quick, if this helped, press the like button. It tells YouTube to show this to people who want the truth, not hype. and press the subscribe button if you're done being sold the moon. I've already got your next one right here. Go!